Welcome to section 9, where we explore what words actually mean. NLP isn't just about finding patterns, it's also about understanding meaning. That's where WordNet comes in. What is WordNet? So, WordNet is a massive lexical database of English. It groups words into synsets. What are synsets? Synsets are sets of synonyms that share the same concept. Okay, so a same concept is shared by all the words which are there in a synset. So synset, you can remember synset as synonyms, set of synonyms. Okay, for example, bright can mean smart, or it can also mean full of light. So how do we tell which one we mean? That's the magic of semantic analysis, and semantic analysis is enabled by WordNet. See, you have to understand that right now we are living in the era of chat GPT and all, where vector embeddings and things like that exist. But to get there, it was not a easy task. In the initial days, when vector embeddings were not powerful, when these models had to rely on things like WordNet. WordNet is a manually crafted database of English words. So, what could be some of the use cases of WordNet library, or in general this kind of database? So we can detect the meaning in the chatbot. Okay, now again, this detection has become a lot easier nowadays thanks to advanced vector embeddings. But since the scope of this lecture is NLTK based, so WordNet can be accessed using NLTK. That's why we are looking at NLTK only. Now, it can also be used in sentiment analysis tool, word recommendation engines, etc. So, yeah, that's it. That's how we use WordNet. In the next series of lectures, what we will do is we will explore some of the capabilities of WordNet model and what it has to offer us. So, in the next lecture, we will dive into how to access WordNet through NLTK. Thank you so much. Let's explore how to get meanings from WordNet library. So what I'll do is I'll create a new notebook, and I'm going to rename this notebook as Exploring the WordNet Library. And since WordNet is not available by default, what we need to do is we need to import NLTK and download it. So import NLTK and NLTK.download, and I will wrap a string which is WordNet. And once this run is successful, we will have a WordNet library. So the process of using it is twofold. First of all, we will have to import the library itself. So what we will do is from nltk.corpus import wordnet as wn, and next we can use this library. Now you don't need to basically do this wn thing, do this aliasing thing. You can go ahead without doing it, right? Okay, so what we can do is we can create a object called synsets rather, because it will be returning a plural. Okay, so wn dot synsets, and maybe let's try it out with bank. And if I hit run, now synsets will be a list of synset object. Okay, let me print out the synset. So it will be a list. So it has got around, let's check how many synset objects. Now it has got around 18 synset objects. Each of these synset objects are essentially representing the same concept in a slightly different manner. So they are kind of a synonyms to each other. So each of these synsets, let me repeat it again, they are kind of a synonym to each other. Okay, now this individual synset, we need to learn how can we explore the individual synsets as well. But we will be doing that in later lectures. But for now, you have to understand that when we call this function on any word whatsoever, let's try it out with maybe, and let me remove this definition. Let's try it out with maybe finance. Okay, so for finance we have got around 5 synsets. So I hope you get the idea, right? What we do is we use this function called synsets, and we return these synset objects. How do we explore it? That's the topic of next lecture. Okay, one thing that you can do from this lecture is you can try out printing synsets for some 10 words and see how they differ. Okay, yeah, so thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next video. Hello everyone, welcome to this new lecture where we are going to explore the synset object and their synonyms, antonyms and lemmas. Okay, so let's start with that procedure. Okay, so you already know what synonyms, antonyms are, and lemmas are just a fancy way of representing or calling out the synset itself. Okay, so what we can do is, first of all, let me do one thing. Okay, let me explore this synset in detail. Okay, what I'll do is I'll save this as S, and let's try to see what do we have here. Now synsets, each of the synsets have some methods. Let's cover those methods one by one. First method is name. So each synset has a name, and name is clearly visible within the object description also. Each synset has a definition as well. Okay, and definition is basically used to get a sense of what that synset represent. So the definition is the commercial activity of providing funds and capital. Okay, that makes sense. What else have we got here? Other than this, we have something known as lemmas. So I can print the lemmas for each synset. And what is lemma? Lemma exactly is the word itself. So you see, this is a synset. This is broader than the lemma. Lemma is the word itself. And you see this, the name of the synset and then the actual word. Now, for each lemma, I can access each lemma and I can access its name. And the lemma name is itself is a synonym, right? Now, for each lemma, we also have a method called antonyms. Antonyms, right? Now, antonyms is empty because see, it does not make sense to think about the antonym of finance. Antonyms is the reverse, opposite of synonyms, right? Now let's do something. Okay, let's create a new synset for which maybe we know that antonyms and synonyms will exist. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll create a new synsets, and I'll write maybe good. Okay, now let's see how many synset we got here. Okay, we have got around 27. So let's loop through each of these synsets. So I'll say synset in synsets. For each synset, we just saw that we can call their definition. So what I will do is I'll print something like name, and in name I'll say synset dot name itself, and let's try it out. Okay, so we have got the name, right? Now after the name, what we want to do is we want to print its description or definition rather. Synset dot definition. Let's print it out. Yeah, so you see this, first of all, bank, sloping land, especially the slope beside a body of water, depository, financial institution, a long ridge or pile, an arrangement of similar object. You see, we are getting these definitions and names. Now let's do one thing. Let's print all the lemmas. Okay, so synset dot definition, or not definitions, lemmas. Okay, and rather I think I should have used a new variable itself, synset dot lemmas, and here I could just use this lemma. Now for lemma L in lemma, I'll print out L dot antonyms. Okay, and I'll probably print antonyms as a heading, right? So let's print out it. So currently, okay, I think I must have done something wrong. Okay, I think I need to call the method itself, right? Okay, so let's see what have we got. So currently antonyms is empty. Antonyms is empty. Do we have any okay, why am I getting bank here? Ah, I see. Oh, okay. Got it. Oh, sorry. I thought I will be doing it for synsets, and I now realize that this has been misspelled, and this earlier synset was using this synset for oil. Okay, let's reprint this. Okay, now we are getting something. So we have good definition is benefit. Okay, and we have antonyms as well. Now antonyms itself is a lemma, because see antonyms are words, right? So these are essentially lemma. So how am I going to get the name? So since these are also so what I can do is, let's see, let me do one thing. Okay, let me comment out everything because it will be hard to read. So what I'll do is just accept this part. So I want to print the heading, which is no, not heading, maybe synonyms and antonyms. Okay, and inside it here I'll write synset dot lemmas. So I'll loop through the lemma and I'll say synonym is L dot name. So L has a method called name. Now since we know that antonyms also return a list of lemmas, so antonyms would be L dot antonyms, and for, or maybe I'll just print antonyms as a, no, I would have to print maybe, so I'll say I'll do something like this. I'll do a list comprehension for antonyms in L dot antonyms A dot name. So each antonym, since it is a lemma, so now I'll print antonyms are antonyms. If I run this, so you see this first one is having no antonym, but second one is having an antonym of evil, evilness, bad, badness. You see this is looking good, right? And all these synonyms are looking right also. So we see that antonyms not necessarily exist for each and every word in this synset. Okay, so I think I would like to close out this lecture now, and in the next lecture what we will do is we will explore the concepts of hypernyms, hyponyms and meronyms. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome to this new lecture where we are going to be talking about hypernyms, hyponyms and meronyms. These are pretty straightforward concepts, although they look very scary with their name. So let's talk about them first of all here in the slide, and then we will explore how to get these using WordNet library. So hypernyms, name, try to remember hyper here. Hyper means something larger. So it means something broader terms. So let's say I have a term called maybe wheel or maybe brake. This represents a car, right? So car would be a broader term. Now hyponym is just the opposite of that. If I have a car, I am looking for the parts of it, something which are specific to it, right? uh, s- I think I used the wrong word, parts. Hyponyms means not the broader but other way around. Okay, hypernyms would be representing something broad, categorizing the other words, but hyponyms on the other hand would be more specific categories. For example, if I have a dog word, then a specific dog would be bulldog. If I have a dog word, then a broader category would be animal. Then there are meronyms. Meronyms is what I was talking about earlier regarding parts. I misconfused it, but don't get confused. Meronyms are pretty straightforward. Meronyms means what makes something. For example, if I have got a laptop, laptop has a CPU, laptop has a motherboard. So meronyms represent all the parts of it. So let's explore these really quickly. So since I have this notebook opened and all the earlier imports are already in place, so what I'll do is I'll create a maybe a synset for w and for a dog word. Okay, synsets for dog, and let's take the first one. Now what I'll try to do is I'll try to write hypernyms. So we see we are getting canine, domestic animal, which are much broader terms, right? Now let's try to get hyponyms. Hyponyms would be puppy, grade, working dog. You see this poodle, pug. So these are much specific versions of the dog. Now to get the meronyms, you will call this function part meronyms, and it's easier to remember also because we have this part and that would mean, so we have flag. What does that mean? That means what make up dog, and it does not make sense, right? So to see part paronyms in action, I think we would have to take some other synset. Let's take maybe car. Okay, and now let's try to no, sorry, let's call it car, and then car dot part meronyms. So within the car we have bumper, car seats. You see this? Part meronyms makes it easy to get the parts of the concept that we are trying to get. Now one use case that I can think of right away is that it is incredibly useful for ontology building, knowledge graphs, or hierarchical tagging systems. Okay. Now one exercise that I have for you is pick a noun and trace its hypernym tree. For example, wheel, vehicle part, and object, right? Okay. So I think I would like to close out this video here, and next we are going to be looking at semantic similarity measures. Thank you so much. Okay, since the beginning of NLP and since the beginning of, I guess, computer science, we have always been wondering how we can quantify relationships between two words. Okay, and that's the topic of this lecture. Although much more advanced things have been introduced in recent decades, like word embeddings and similarity, cosine similarity, we won't be talking about those in this lecture. Why? Because the scope of this whole course is limited to NLTK. I don't want to cover anything except NLTK. Okay, so semantic similarity measures, they allow you to quantify how similar two words are. Okay, and by default the WordNet library offers you two different kind of similarity metrics: path similarity and Wu-Palmer similarity, verb similarity. Okay, so these two similarity can be used to get a score between 0 and 1. If a score is closer to 1, that would mean those two words are very similar. If the words are if the similarity score is closer to 0, that would mean those words are very apart. And the way they work are, path similarity works by looking at how far those two words are in the tree, and the tree that we are talking about here is the tree of synsets. Okay, the tree of synsets that WordNet builds. Okay, all right. So what I want to do is I want to take example, take a synset one. So I'll define S1, and the S1, let's try to calculate similarity between bank and financial institution. Okay, so let's see what do we have. So what I'll do is wordnet dot synsets, and in the synsets I'll define bank, but I have to make sure I take the correct synset, because this bank can refer to like many things, right? So I want to take maybe let's see, saving bank. I would like to, so that is 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and that means seventh, right? This one, and I have maybe second one. So we have these two financial institutions. So I'll define it like S1 and then S2. So we have these two synsets. Now what I can do is I can call a method S1 dot. I can call a method called path similarity and pass S2. So the similarity between these two are 0.006, which means this particular tree structure thinks that these are not similar, not that similar. Okay, let's try it out with maybe dog and cat, I guess. Okay, let's try it out again, or maybe let's look at verb similarity. Verb similarity. Okay, verb similarity thinks these are little bit higher similar than with path similarity. See, these methods are not very perfect, and that's why we required these earlier methods, vector embedding based methods, but they are powerful. They are based on not on numerical embeddings but something else. Okay, so I'll create dog and cat, and let's look at the zeroth word, and let's try to get the metric. Okay, 0.2. What about verb similarity? Okay, we can clearly see verb similarity is looking more accurate, I feel, because it is depth based, while path similarity is how far apart. Okay, I feel at this point what you can do is you can write a function maybe that takes a word and also takes maybe a list of words and finds out which word it is most similar to. This could be a nice challenge and exercise. Okay, now also, one more thing, similarity works only when both synsets are in the same parts of speech and use the right sense. Maybe this gave you the less score because the parts of speech for both of these synsets might have been different. Maybe, who knows? Okay, so yeah, so I think at this point I would like to close out this lecture. But in the next lecture, we are going to discuss something really interesting, and that is word sense disambiguation, and it's really a cool concept. I'll see you in the next lecture. Hello everyone, welcome to this new lecture and last lecture in this section 9, and it is about word sense disambiguation. Now this particular concept called WSD, it is a very interesting concept because it helps us understand the sense or the sense or the context in which a word has been used. Okay, the way it works is, first of all, you must have understood, you must have seen situations where a word is used in a sentence but that word could have different meanings. For example, bank. We can have a word, maybe a sentence, the river bank was flooded. Here the word bank could be representing the financial institution or the bank related to the river. So which does it belong to? That is determined by something known as WSD. Now this WSD is implemented in NLTK through something known as LESK algorithm. Let's see what do we mean by that. So let's quickly import the LESK. So from nltk.wsd import LESK. Okay, so we have LESK. Now let's import nltk.tokenize import word tokenize. Now what we can do is we can take a sentence. Okay, he deposited the check at the bank. Now what I can do is I can first of all word tokenize it, right? And I can pass this whole thing in LESK, sorry. What I can do is I can take this word tokenize. So this will take a list of words and the word that you think is ambiguous. So what it will do is it will return the synset. So synset of the word that it thinks is best captured by this word within this sentence. Okay, let me run it. So you see this? It has returned the synset of the saving bank, which means yes, it is correct, right? So the idea is that when this sentence is, let's say, this sentence has been, this is a chatbot application and somebody is trying to deposit in his bank. Now how do we understand within that chatbot interface that the user is referring to this bank or that bank? Although he must be referring to this bank only, since the chatbot is related to, but to have a seamless kind of experience where user thinks that chatbot is intelligent enough to guess that this bank is not that bank. So in those applications, this could be really huge. Okay, let's try it out with one more sentence maybe. The river, although it's not, one second, river was flooded. Okay, and let's try to see now. Okay, now again, this time also it has not returned anything correct, but you get the idea. This application is really cool, which is called WSD and Lesk algorithm. Okay, so this has been improved by modern techniques, like again, cosine based similarities and vector embeddings and all. But yeah, you get the idea, right? So WSD is an algorithm which helps us get that ambiguity gone. The idea is that I want to be less ambiguous. Okay, all right, so I hope you enjoyed this lecture, and I hope that you will be doing something really cool with what you have learned in this entire series. So thank you so much. Have a nice day. Hello everyone, welcome to this mini project on synonym swap sentence rewriter. Now, in this project, the idea is to utilize the things that we learned in WordNet lectures and build something really cool and interesting. So, without further delay, let's get started. What I'll do is I'll create a new notebook for this project and I'll rename it quickly. So, it will be called synonyms swap sentence rewriter. Okay, so let's create a high level plan. Okay, so high level plan for the project, so that we have a structured framework to follow through, right? High level plan. Now this high level plan will have, first of all, we need to have an input sentence. Okay, we need to have an input sentence. All right, second, in the second step, what we need to do is we need to tokenize it tokenize it to get the words or tokens. Now the next thing is get tree bank POS tags. And why it is important? The reason it is important is because once we have tree bank POS tags, it will allow us to create WordNet POS tags. Okay, and why is it important? It's important because this WordNet POS, what we can do is, for WordNet POS, we can limit our synset, because by default, if we call synset on a word, it will return all the different parts of speech related to that word. But if we provide the POS tag, then what will happen is it will only return the POS tag. It will only return the synsets for that particular POS that we pass. So it's important, right? Okay, if we are not able to find any WordNet related POS, then we will just utilize the word. Okay, so if this makes sense, what we can do is, the next step is, okay, so what once we have this WordNet POS tags, the next step would be to basically loop through all words that we created earlier using tokenization. And what we will do is, in these words, for each word we get its POS. Okay, next we get its synonym set, I guess. Yes. And then once we have a synonym set, because WordNet returns many synonyms, not just one. So we get its synonym set, and then what we do is, we get its synonym set. What we do is, uh, we we kind of replace the word with synonym set, with synonym set, but not all words. Okay, not all words. So we will define some sort of probability, some sort of probability. And also this pos is also important, because we don't want to replace words like the. Okay, so I think I should maybe write it. Why? Because we don't want to replace words like the, a, etc., right? So these words should not be replaced. Okay, so let me comment it out. Okay, we replace the word, and finally once we so we define a new list. We we define a new list which will hold the new sentence, new sentence. Okay, all right. And then finally, after we replace it, we append it to the new list, and then we simply create a new sentence, create a new sentence using the list. Okay, so this is a high level plan for our project. What's next? Let's try to implement it one by one. We will create a function, we will which will ask users for the inputs, but for now let's start with one sentence. Okay, so that we can see the output right away. Okay, so the sentence that we will have is, let's say, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay, we have this sentence, right? Okay, so now first step is done. Next we need to tokenize it. Let's do it. So from nltk dot tokenize, import word tokenize, import word tokenize, and tokens would be word tokenize, and we will pass our sentence. Okay, so now we have the tokens. One second, I think I misspelled it. Okay, so once we have the tokens, yeah, so we have the tokens. Next is get tree bank pos tags, and to do that, what we do is, from nltk import pos tag. So I'll write a tags list, so pos tag, and inside this pos tag I'll pass tokens. So let's see if we have tags. Yes, we have the tag. Okay, so next, allow us to create a wordnet pos tag. Okay, so before creating this wordnet pos tag, let me undo that delete cell. One second, undo cell operation. Okay, so we have this tags. So what sort of words we want to replace? We can replace this jj. I don't want to replace this dt. I can replace quick, I can replace brown. Okay, I can replace a noun, I can replace a, maybe, I don't know, verb. So verb is where? We don't have any verb here. Okay, yeah, this one is a verb. Okay, so what we want to do is, we want to create something known as uh, so essentially we want to create wordnet pos tag. So let's create a helper function, and what this helper function will do is, it will okay, so what I'll do is get wordnet tag. It will get tree bank tag, and this will be a treebank tag. What I'll do is I'll check if treebank tag dot starts with, if treebank tag starts with J, it would mean it is an adjective. In that case, what I'll do is I'll return wordnet. Now wordnet is not defined, hence we will need to define it. So I'll define from nltk dot corpus import wordnet. Once we have this, okay, let me now do this. Return wordnet dot adjective. Now adjective is defined, right? Okay. Now we will do else if. Again we do something like this only. Treebank tag dot starts with. Now if it starts with V, it would mean I want to return a wordnet dot verb. Similarly, let me copy this line 2 more times. Okay, if treebank dot starts with is N, then that means it is a noun, right? So wordnet dot noun. If treebank dot this is starts with R, it would mean adverb. And else, if it does not follow this pattern, which means I don't want to return a wordnet tag, I'll simply return none. Now you might, since I did not discuss this wordnet dot tags, what I want to do is I want to quickly show you something. Okay, so let me do wordnet dot synsets, maybe build. Let me create a synset of build. If I run this, it will print all the synonyms of build. You see this? But now let me pass one more keyword, which is I want to only have wordnet dot verb. Okay, now see this list has been reduced. Let me to show what I mean, let me reload this cell. So we have physic, we have human body, but those synonyms are not present in this later output. So essentially this thing is done first of all to replace and to kind of limit the number of synsets that we get, and also this thing is done to take into account this else statement, which will allow us to not swap the words like the, a, etc. Okay, let's delete these cells and let's test out this get wordnet tag function. Now let us pass maybe vbj. Okay, vbj. Okay, so we, one second, why it is okay. So I think, yeah, wordnet dot verb, yeah, that's good, because wordnet dot verb is underlying defined like this. Okay, now let me do nn. Okay, we have noun, right? Okay, so it makes sense. So now that our function is working, and also let me check it with maybe dt, since I don't want to return anything, which means it's null, right? Okay, so now we have all of these. Now we define a new list which will hold a new sentence. Let's do that. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll define a new function, new list, swapped sentence, and I'll now loop through what? Loop through all words, but not words, but their tags. So what I'll do is for, let's quickly print out tags. So we have words and the POS for each word. So I'll loop through it like this. So for word, POS in tags. Okay, for now just print out word and POS, so that we build this step by step. Okay, so we are getting things right. Now what is the first step? What we want to do is, for this given POS, I want to get a tree wordnet tag. Okay, so I would like to get a wordnet tag, get wordnet tag, and I'll pass POS, right? So I'm passing this. Now let's print out this word with its tag, with its wordnet tag. Okay, so we see this word which is none, none, none. This means I think I should have done, maybe 1 second, I should have done word like this. Okay, so we see this. The is none. Why? Because I don't want it to be replaced. Over is none. The is none. I don't want these to replace this. Okay, now that we have a wordnet tag, what is the next step? So the next step is to take this wordnet tag and load the synset of the words. So I'll load the synsets, all synsets, and here I'll do wordnet dot synsets, and here in synsets I'll pass word, and in place of pos I'll pass wordnet tag. Now I will have all synsets for given word. Now how do I get a synonym from these synset? Because this is very important. I want to have a synonym. Okay, now how do I get a synonym? So what I do is, for each of these synsets I'll loop through it. So I'll do something like synonyms. I'll create a set. Now for synsets, in all synsets, I'm simply looping through it, and then I'll loop through its lemma. So for lemma in syn dot lemmas, and I'll check if my lemma dot name dot lower is not equal to the word itself. Okay, I don't want it to replace with the same word, right? So if it is not, then I would like to take my synonyms and add in this the lemma dot name, right? And sometimes lemma name contains underscore, so I would like to replace those underscores. 1 second. Replace those underscores with empty spaces. Okay, so we have the synonyms, and finally what we will be having is a synonyms list. So for now what I'll do is I'll just print out synonyms list for each word. Let's run this. Okay, I think why it is printing empty set, because oh I see I only want to do this when so when the word, so if wordnet tag is not none. So what I want to do is I want to do this only if wordnet tag is not none. So is not equal to none. What I would want is, if wordnet tag is not none, I want to do something, and if it is none, which means I want to take the exact word. So here I would like to take my swapped sentence dot append the same exact word I want to append, right? Let me print out the synonyms and put it right here. Okay, so I hope you are getting the idea. So what I'm doing here is, if wordnet tag is not none, then only I will look for synonyms. Otherwise I'm not looking for synonyms. So now you see straight away speedy, spry, prompt, and so on, right? So we are getting all these synonyms, right? Okay, so once we have a synonym, I need to choose one of these synonyms for the actual replacement. And how will I do it? For it, I will import a random module, and what I'll do is, chosen word will be it will be what? It will be random dot choice, and within it I can pass a list, and list I can convert it in convert a synonym into a list. Now I can I can print the chosen word. So I can print the word and chosen word together. Let's run this. So now quick is going to replace with flying, brown is going to replace with brownness, fox, dodger, jumps, start, lazy, indolent, dog, hot dog. Oh my god, it's really funny. Okay, so now what we can do is, we can just remove this, and now I don't want it to replace always. I want to have some sort of mechanism, some sort of probabilistic behavior. Okay, so I'll do something like, I'll get a random variable, If that random variable is maybe less than 0.5, then only I'll do what? A swapped sentence dot append chosen word. Else, if it is not the case, I would like to take my swapped sentence and dot append word, which means in each run it will be having a different kind of behavior. Why? Because now I have randomized it. Okay. Now finally, what I can do is I can print out my final sentence. Final swapped sentence would be, I would like to join the swapped sentence on word. Swapped sentence. Or if I run this, so final swapped sentence is, the quick John Brown sly boots jump start over the lazy canis familiaris. Okay, that's good. And I should also print out the original sentence before swapped maybe. And for this I would like to simply print sentence. Okay, this time it is different because it is a probabilistic behavior. The warm brown university fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay, let's rerun this. The quick brown sly boots um jumps over the work shy Andrion. Okay. Oh my god, this is so good. This is so fun. Okay. So now what we can do is, let me do one thing. Let me now wrap it up and maybe create a modular code. Okay. So what I'll do is, I'll take my imports all together. Let's do that quickly. Okay, so we have all the imports ready, and now finally I would like to take this code, one second, and let me also take this here. Since this is a helper function, it can live in its own cell, no need to worry about it. And finally, what I can do is, I can have tokens swap. Okay, yeah. Okay, so once I have this, and finally the sentence is here, we can make it even modular, but I don't think that is required. But let's do something. Okay, so let's try to create a functionality which constantly asks for the user to enter a sentence. So I'll do enter a sentence to rewrite. Okay, and I'll do something like while true, user input is equal to input. Okay, and if user input dot lower is equal to exit, maybe something like this, then I would like to break out of this loop, and I would like to have a default user input, and default user input maybe can be this. Okay, so what I can do is, or maybe I should not call it user input but rather sentence, because otherwise I will have to change the entire code down below. Okay, so this will be a default sentence, and else if it is not this, what I can do is um re-return. I think yeah, I think that would be it, because I can write something like print uh, running with default. Okay, maybe something like that. Okay, running with default. Okay, let's try it out. Okay, so it's saying enter a sentence to rewrite. So I will say, I he is very good in maths. So name error. User input is not defined. Oh my god, where is my user input? So this should be sentence. Okay. He is very good in maths. Okay. It is continuously okay. I think something is not looking good. One second. If sentence dot lower dot x okay, it should have. Oh, I see. So now what I can do is, if it is not this, I can put it inside the while loop itself, right? So if only when I will print exit, then only it's going to exit out of the loop. Okay, I think I need to interrupt. I did something very. Okay, let's rerun this. I'm good. Okay, so it says I am good. I am ripe. Oh my god, this is funny. He is excellent in mathematics, which means, oh, I see. Because it is not able to find any, because I typed the wrong word. Let's rerun this. He is very good in mathematics. Swap sentences. He represent very in force in mathematics. This is funny. Okay, so I hope you get the idea. So in this project, what we tried to do is, we tried to create this nice looking synonym swap sentence rewriter. And in this project, we utilized the concepts that we learned in the WordNet lectures. Okay, thank you so much. I hope you had a wonderful time watching this lecture. Bye bye.